I'm Matthew Beardsley, and this is my presentation for the Worn Stories assignment in the class Dress and Culture. This presentation will be about the memories of my dad that are attached to his jacket. Unfortunately, the beginning of this story starts with my father's diagnosis of esophageal cancer back in 2020, which he passed away from in March 30th of 2023. I was extremely optimistic about the possible outcomes of this diagnosis for the first 2 years, even if he required more and more help from family and friends for daily needs. Most of the time he was unable to eat due to his condition, so as time went on, he lost a lot of weight due to prolonged chemotherapy treatments, and since his primary source of food was a gastrostomy tube. This led to him being more and more sensitive to the cold, so my sister bought him a jacket that she thought he would like, which is the one I now own. The jacket I'm talking about isn't really special in any way. He only used it for a few years, it wasn't expensive, and I think it was from Walmart, but it doesn't really matter to me now. What matters are the memories attached to the jacket itself, as well as the things left inside of it when I received it, that are unique to me for better or for worse. It's important to note that I don't believe that it'd be fair to say that these memories are either good or bad, but calling them bittersweet would still be an oversimplification of the feelings attached to them, but no matter how painful they are to recall, they're still valuable to me since they are some of the last experiences I have with my dad. Some of the objects left inside of the jacket are a pair of earplugs, a Buckeye, and papers from a hospital visit. The earplugs were from a time when my dad was more mobile. He would go in the backyard of his house with me, and we would spend an hour or so just shooting tin cans off of a tree stump. He'd always insist on me wearing ear protection to preserve my hearing, even if it felt like a hassle to find before we went out. The second object, a Buckeye, is, for anybody who doesn't know, just like a big seed, this big, from a tree, also called a horse chestnut, but it's sort of a tradition in my family to collect them and then give them to nieces, nephews, me and my siblings, and then tell us it was good luck to have them. So I keep that in the breast pocket of the jacket. It always reminds me of exploring outside with them and finding them. And the last thing left inside were the papers from the hospital visit. These are a reminder of the most vivid memory I have, but also the most painful. Around mid-February, my dad was admitted to Barnes Jewish Hospital since he was at a dangerously low body weight. I was asked by my family if I could stay overnight with him on my weekend off from work just to keep him company and to make sure he took his medication, which I was happy to do so. I remember a few things from that visit. I remember watching The Last Samurai in the evening. I remember not getting too much sleep since I was on edge listening for any sound, any abnormality, and hearing the nurse come in and out of the room. But most of all, I remember taking my dad out of the hospital in a wheelchair in the middle of February so he could smoke. But before we went out, I needed to put his jacket on for him because by that time he was very frail and mobility in his arms was very limited. I'd have to guide his first arm in, which wasn't too much of a problem, but getting his other arm took a lot of his energy to reach up into the sleeve, and I'd also hear him audibly struggle anytime we would prepare to do that. After I put on his jacket for him, I'd help him down into the wheelchair and we'd be ready to go out, right after we told the nurse. She would jokingly say, "You know smoking's bad for your health," which he would say, "I know." But I knew that smoking was one of the few things he could enjoy semi-independently. Once we told the nurse that we would head out and stop by the front sidewalk in front of the hospital, I'd get out the cigarette for him and place it in his hand, and I'd light it. We were out there, he would tell me, "Don't ever smoke, son, it's a terrible habit." Probably feeling guilty from what the nurse had said to him. We went out like this a couple times over the 2 days I was with him, but each time I'd put his jacket on for him, I realized that my time with him was running out. I don't know why, but on one occasion when we were out on the sidewalk near the road that runs in front of Barnes Jewish Hospital, I sat on the curb as my dad smoked a cigarette with one hand holding the handle of the wheelchair, even though the brakes were on. And for some reason I thought to myself, like, I'm gonna remember this picture forever. But right afterwards, some other patient walked by and bummed a cigarette off my dad, which I still think is funny and kind of helped lighten the mood. But it was only a month and a half after that stay that he passed away. After he passed away, me and my siblings went through his clothes and asked each other what we wanted, and in the end I just stuffed it all in a big trash bag along with the jacket. It took me a couple months to finally take the bag out of my closet and go through the clothes that were in there, including the jacket. I wear the jacket pretty consistently. I would have shown it off in this presentation if I could, but right now it's laying on top of a bunch of pottery to keep a plastic bag down. But that's the end of the presentation, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you.